first let me say that our clients have been in detention for an exceptionally long period of time. It's been 4.5 years in detention, 4.5 years of their lives that they can never get back. So, I'm disappointed that it took 2 years for the case of the prosecution to be completed. I believe that the case could have been completed much sooner, but we are where we are now. Overall, I think the case and the evidence against Mr. Thaçi specifically has been very weak. I can't discuss the evidence right now, but I think at the end of the case, you will see that the allegations that started with the Marty report have almost no connection to the evidence that was shown against Mr. Thaçi in this trial over 2 years. So in that sense, I am very optimistic about the outcome of this case for Mr. Thaçi. I think the evidence has been very weak, and we will, of course, make those arguments to the trial panel at the appropriate time. But I think, as I said, I think too much time has been taken from the lives of these 4 accused, and we hope to finish sooner rather than later. Obviously, I can't comment on what was said in private session, so I can't comment on that. I can just tell you, generally speaking, what I said to you before, the evidence against Mr. Thaçi, in our view, is exceptionally weak, to the point where I sometimes in trial asked myself why Mr. Thaçi was indicted in the first place. We will make those submissions to the trial panel at the appropriate time, but there's not much more I can say on the specific evidence in the case. We're confident in the outcome for Mr. Thaçi in this case, and the only thing left now is to go through the rest of the stage of this case so we can get to a judgment as soon as possible. Obviously, we have witnesses that I think are highly effective witnesses. I can't discuss them right now. It depends on whether we put on a defense case and when. There are such witnesses, and you will have, some of them were in public session that I think on cross-examination were actually very effective defense witnesses for Mr. Thaçi. I'm again not going to comment on any specific witnesses right now, even if they were in public session, because you'll hear all those arguments at the appropriate time. But I think the case that Mr. Thaçi put in the opening statements about what his role was in the 𝐾LA has been proven through the prosecution case. And now it's just left for us to make the arguments to the panel. We trust that the panel sees the case the same way we see the case, and we wait for the judgment. If justice prevails here, I believe there will be a very good result for Mr. Thaçi at the end of this. We will make our arguments saying that the prosecution hasn't proven or hasn't brought sufficient evidence for certain parts of their case. I'm, again, not going to get into the details right now because it's not the appropriate time or place. We will do that inside the courtroom. But yes, we believe that the prosecution has failed to introduce evidence sufficient on certain parts of the indictment. We haven't come up with a specific number, but it won't be a lot of witnesses, certainly nowhere near what the prosecution did in terms of its number of witnesses. We intend to put on, if we put on a defense case, it will be relatively short because, as I said, it's our clients that are sitting in detention right now, and every passing day is a day that they'll never get back. So we're trying to wrap this up as fast as possible. Each defense team will put on the witnesses that it deems necessary for its defense. There are, of course, certain witnesses that will be favorable to all 4 defense teams, but in short, every defense team is preparing to put on witnesses specific to their own clients. We haven't gotten to that point yet, so we will probably have a status conference later in the month of April where timelines will be discussed and deadlines and things like that. So at this point, there is no specific timeline issued by the court. Whatever we've put in writing to the court is all I can say at the moment on that topic. So you're able to read what our submissions are there, and I don't have any additional comment. The message is to let the process play out here. We think that we have established the facts as they relate to Mr. Thaçi in this case, and let's wait for the process to play out. I really can't say anything more beyond that. I have to have confidence in the justice system and have to have confidence that the judges will ensure that justice is done here, and if they see things the way we see things, then there will be a very positive result for Mr. Thaçi at the end of this. I can't really discuss their motivations. They have to answer for why they do certain things. I will say that Our position is, and I think this is borne out if you read the indictment, that the prosecution does not allege that any witnesses were actually interfered with in the indictment. And I think that's important to emphasize. This case, meaning the main case, will be decided on the weight of the evidence that the prosecution thought they had initially. All of that evidence is in front of the trial panel. It has been cross-examined, and much of it, some of it has not, but much of it has been cross-examined, and we believe that the credibility of that evidence has been sufficiently tested. It's to the point where, as I said, I believe that there will be a very positive result for Mr. Thaçi at the end of this. I would, at this point, prefer to avoid any political discussions. We have done the best we can with the resources that we have in this case, and you know, we can look back on it later and have a discussion on it later, but for now, I believe even with the resources that we've had at this point, we've done enough to be able to demonstrate that the charges against Mr. Thaçi lack sufficient evidentiary foundation. Again, we do and work with what we have, and that's all I can say. I don't wish to get involved in a political discussion. I can't predict that at the moment, so that's not something we are addressing at the moment. If something changes, obviously you'll find out about it, but at the moment I don't wish to speculate. I am absolutely not in a position to know what the Trump administration will do, so my job here is to work inside the four walls of this building and to do my job until they tell me it's not my job to do it anymore. So within those four walls of this building, as I said, we believe that within the trial itself, that the evidence has been clear that the prosecution has failed to substantiate the allegations they've made against Mr. Thaçi. And as I said, if the judges are if the judges are seeing the case the way we see the case, then all we can do is hope for the positive result that we expect at the end of this case.